In today's video, I'm going to read Isaiah chapter 30. It's a chapter of the Bible that mentions how in the end, the sun will be brighter sevenfold, and the moon will shine like the sun. And so I'm going to read the whole chapter just to give some context. I was looking for some AI images it was really hard to find or to, get the AI to give me cool looking examples of towers coming down, because it's mentioned at the end of Isaiah, towers coming down, which, that reminds me of something. But this is what it spit out, some interesting stuff. It just gave me fake history. I think typing in masonry as a keyword is what made these types of interesting images come up. But I just saw, the idea of sticking a pyramid-like stairs up is such a Freemasonry concept, because the old world buildings through the millennia have sunk down, and what used to be the second story is often turned into a new first story, and then you have all sorts of basements happening and sub-basements and what have you. So I thought it was interesting that even the AI understands this concept of adding the word Freemasonry made all of these stairways going up to the entrance of a building. I thought that was interesting. And shots like this is AI, but the old style building with piles of dirt out front, just very, very understanding of the vibes of what Freemasonry is all about. Some janky stairway leading up to some neoclassical. What is neoclassical even supposed to? The new old. It's the new with the old, I guess. So, what's some Mao Zedong looking character? I'm going to share two comments that I thought were really, really cool. This one is amazing. I'm going to come back to that. Of course, this one is also amazing, and it's from the Bible. So I love that when people can relate this stuff to the Bible. I think that is the biggest issue with the truth community, is people leading people astray. They should be taking every opportunity to be like, hey guys, look, all of this stuff is in the Bible. This is amazing. From Isaiah. Tell me what city this reminds you of. Isaiah chapter 5, verses 8 to 12. Woe unto them that join house to house, that lay field to field, till there be no place, that they may be placed alone in the midst of the earth. In mine ears, said the Lord of hosts, of a truth many houses shall be desolate, even great and fair, without inhabitant. So this is some cool Bible verse talking about house to house. That's how all the old world cities are. You're like, dude, why is there half an inch between this building and this building? San Francisco comes to mind, but that's only because I grew up on the West Coast. Any of the big cities are built like this, house to house. Field to field is exactly how land is parceled out. You know, exactly where one farm ends, another farm begins, more or less. When you fly in an airplane and you see the way that the farms are laid out, it's field to field. And it seems like the only empty spaces these days, they just become national parks, and we're not allowed to go use those lands. And humans today have no right to property, even though that should be a clear God-given right, that every human being should be allowed to have land to live on. But that's like the pipe dream. Today, it's almost impossible for people born today that's like something that you aspire to. This should be insane. The thought that we need to like aspire to one day being able to have a piece of land to live on ourselves, that's insanity to me. But it shows you that we're slaves. That today we're slaves. We don't have any rights, like the ability to have a piece of land and live off of it. That should be very low level society rights, and we are clearly slaves today. So this question is this comment, brilliant comment. I'm struck by the quote, those who do not understand their history are doomed to repeat it. And it makes me wonder, since they obviously don't let us know our real history, that it rings more like a threat than a piece of wisdom. Oh man, this comment is, it's so spot on, that they love these sayings where the real meaning is obscured to most people unless you have hidden knowledge. It reminds me of sayings like, the sky's the limit. They want you to think that that means anything's possible, but the sky's the limit is actually a reference to the firmament, and that there's limitations on what we can do here. We're stuck here. You actually can't get past the firmament because the sky literally is the limit, and you need to use imagination to make it past it. So that's why this rings so true to me. Yeah, they are spot on to this. When they keep telling us those who don't understand history are doomed to repeat it, they're not telling you to bust out your history books and study up on that stuff because you might repeat the nonsense contained therein. No, it's a threat. I agree completely that if you allow them to just wipe out your history and give you garbage instead, that you're going to be doomed to continue in this cycle. It's become very clear that I mean, it's probably what the whole Ouroboros is about, that there's a cyclical nature to these things, and that none of this is new. And that's just abundantly clear to me now. I just have these feelings. I know NASA is not the first time that some bozos have told people that they've landed on the moon. I know that NASA is not the first time that that's happened. It's just something I know is true. I just feel it, that this isn't their first rodeo, you know? And anyways, so that's why this rings true. It's a threat. If you let us fill your mind with our garbage, our Freemasonic garbage, history's going to keep repeating itself, because that's our MO. That's how that reads to me now. Okay, I'll just leave it. I'll leave it on this quote while I read Isaiah chapter 30, and I might stop every once in a while to make a comment or two, but I just want to read it. It's such a powerful chapter of the Bible. And the big takeaway is all this Egypt stuff. What I think that your average person should take away from this reading is pay attention to all the Egypt stuff and make the connection to, hey, why do all these celebrities and people, why are they so into the Egypt stuff? Well, it's because it's biblical. This is Isaiah chapter 30. I'm reading out of the King James Version. Woe to the rebellious children, saith the Lord, that take counsel, but not of me, and that cover with a covering, but not of my spirit, that they may add sin to sin, that walk to go down into Egypt, and have not asked at my mouth, to strengthen themselves in the strength of Pharaoh, and to trust in the shadow of Egypt. So I just want to make one comment here, because this will be people's downfall, and you see that people have absolute trust in the governments today. That's what this whole Egypt is about. Egypt represents that government power. So in the end, it's going to be earthly authority, if you want to take it that way. In the end, the divide will be among people that's what they trust in, the earthly authority, or people who reject that are going to be the only ones that don't take the mark of the beast. The authority is going to tell everybody to take the mark of the beast. So if you trust in the shadow of Egypt, those are the people that trust in the pharmakia, and they trust in all that stuff just because an authority figure, an earthly authority figure, told them to do so. Okay, I just want to read. Therefore shall the strength of Pharaoh be your shame, and the trust in the shadow of Egypt your confusion. For his princes were at Zoan, and his ambassadors came to Hanes. They were all ashamed of a people that could not profit them, nor be an help nor profit, but a shame, and also a reproach. The burden of the beasts of the south, into the land of trouble and anguish, from whence come the young and old lion, the viper, and fiery flying serpent. They will carry their riches upon the shoulders of young asses, and their treasures upon the bunches of camels, to a people that shall not profit them. This is verse 7. For the Egyptians shall help in vain, and to no purpose. Therefore have I cried concerning this. Their strength is to sit still. That is such an interesting and deep part of knowing your enemy, that one of the strengths of your enemy is to sit still, is so interesting, and you can take so much away from that. How their plans are based in decades, not tomorrow. They like to play on really long timescales that most people don't think of, with their big schemes. Continuing on. Now go, write it before them in a table, and note it in a book, that it may be for the time to come forever and ever, that this is a rebellious people, lying children, children that will not hear the law of the Lord, which say to the seers, see not, and to the prophets, prophesy not unto us right things, speak unto us smooth things, prophesy deceits. Get you out of the way, turn aside out of the path. And the way there is interesting. Get you out of the way. Turn aside out of the path. Cause the Holy One of Israel to cease from before us. Wherefore, thus saith the Holy One of Israel, because ye despise the word, and trust in oppression and perverseness, and stay thereon. Oh man, how applicable is that today? Because I'm talking about the authority, right? What does the authority push today besides oppression and perverseness? That's exactly the type of things that the authority pushes today. Oppression and total perverseness. Therefore this iniquity shall be to you as a breach ready to fall, swelling out in a high wall, whose breaking cometh suddenly at an instant. And he shall break it as the breaking of the potter's vessel that is broken in pieces. He shall not spare, so that there shall not be found in the bursting of it assured to take fire from the hearth, or to take water withal out of the pit. For thus saith the Lord God, the Holy One of Israel, in returning and in rest shall ye be saved, in quietness and in confidence shall be your strength, and ye would not. But ye said, no, for we will flee upon horses, therefore shall ye flee, and we will ride upon the swift, therefore shall they that pursue you be swift. 1,000 shall flee at the rebuke of one, at the rebuke of 5 shall ye flee, till ye be left as a beacon upon the top of a mountain, and as an ensign on a hill. And therefore will the Lord wait, that he may be gracious unto you, and therefore will he be exalted, that he may have mercy upon you. For the Lord is a God of judgment, blessed are all they that wait for him. For the people shall dwell in Zion, at Jerusalem, thou shalt weep no more. So that's mentioned, this is, when are we going to weep no more? In the end. This is talked about later in the Bible, that all of our tears will be wiped away in the very end. Thou shalt weep no more. He will be very gracious unto thee at the voice of thy cry, and God will answer our every prayer. So that also reminds me of that. When he shall hear it, he will answer thee. And though the Lord give you the bread of adversity and the water of affliction, yet shall not thy teachers be removed into a corner any more, but thine eyes shall see thy teachers. It's an interesting verse too. Reminds me of, being put in a corner with a dunce cap. And thine ears shall hear a word behind thee, saying, this is the way. And this is talking about the way, which is interesting because that gets brought up later. The first Christians were said to be following the way. And Jesus is the way, the truth, and the life. This is the way, walk ye in it, when ye turn to the right hand, and when ye turn to the left. Ye shall defile also the covering of thy graven images of silver, and the ornament of thy molten images of gold. Thou shalt cast them away as a menstruous cloth. Thou shalt say unto it, get thee hence. I love the imagery there. Then shall he give the rain of thy seed, that thou shalt sow the ground withal, and bread of the increase of the earth, and it shall be fat and plenteous. In that day shall thy cattle feed in large pastures. The oxen likewise, and the young asses that ear the ground, shall eat clean provender, which hath been winnowed with the shovel and with the fan. Another cool verse. I love the word provender. It's such a pretty word. And winnowing is something that comes up pretty often in the Bible. That's where you have things that are mixed together, and you want some of it and you don't want other of it, and you separate it basically by windows, that you toss it up in the air and fan it, and the stuff that's more carried by the air flies away, and the stuff that you want to keep just falls straight back down. Winnowing is a really cool thing. Okay, verse 25. And there shall be upon every high mountain and upon every high hill rivers and streams of waters in the day of the great slaughter, when the towers fall. So what an interesting verse. What towers? Freemasonry talks about these 2 towers, Boaz and Jachin or something like that. It's very interesting because there's an old, if you research like ancient metal column. I know that there's a column out there that's made of metal, and people tried to shoot it down with a cannon before, but it seems like, well, I don't know if that's one of the biblical towers mentioned or columns mentioned, but was it the Temple of Solomon that had these two metal pillars out front? So this symbol of the twin towers, it goes way back. That's not new, having these two tower ideas. And here, when the towers fall, verse 25, surely that was in the mind of people when these things were being orchestrated. Verse 26, moreover, the light of the moon shall be as the light of the sun. How interesting that after the twin towers fell, the sun and the moon started becoming brighter. It's literally the next verse. Verse 25 going into verse 26. When the towers fall, that's the end of verse 5. Verse 26, moreover, the light of the moon shall be as the light of the sun, and the light of the sun shall be sevenfold, as the light of 7 days, in the day that the Lord bindeth up the breach of his people, and healeth the stroke of their wound. Behold, the name of the Lord cometh from far, burning with his anger, and the burden thereof is heavy. His lips are full of indignation, and his tongue as a devouring fire, and his breath as an overflowing stream shall reach to the midst of the neck, to sift the nations with the sieve of vanity. And there shall be a bridle in the jaws of the people, causing them to err. Ye shall have a song, as in the night when a holy solemnity is kept. So, Book of Revelation talks about us learning a new song in heaven. And a gladness of heart, as when one goeth with a pipe to come into the mountain of the Lord, to the mighty one of Israel. And the Lord shall cause his glorious voice to be heard, and shall show the lighting down of his arm, with the indignation of his anger, and with the flame of a devouring fire, with scattering and tempest and hailstones. This again is mentioned in the book of Revelation. So the purpose of this is to give you some context on the sun getting brighter and the moon getting brighter. I think based on context, it's clear that Isaiah here is prophesizing about the end of the world. I think that Isaiah was prophesizing, about the end of the world here. And I think that the things like the hailstones, go read Book of Revelation. One of the seals, one of the trumpets, unleashes hailstones upon people. For through the voice of the Lord shall the Assyrian be beaten down, which smote with the rod. And in every place where the grounded staff shall pass, which the Lord shall lay upon him, it shall be with tabrets and harps. And in battles of shaking will he fight with it. For Tophet is ordained of old, yea, for the king it is prepared. He hath made it deep and large. The pile thereof is fire and much wood. The breath of the Lord, like a stream of brimstone, doth kindle it. Okay, so that's more talking about the bad people, and that's sounding more like a hell description, the lake of fire description, possibly. Who knows? That's it, though. Verse 33 is the end of that chapter, and I hope you enjoyed this video, and God bless everyone.